It's been 4 years since Slayer's last studio album, and up until its release 3 weeks ago, the Divine Intervention album was widely anticipated by Slayer fans worldwide. The band further hyped the release of the album by doing 2-a-day record-signing in-store appearances throughout a 10-day period. In an exclusive interview with Slayer's Tom Araya from his record company's Los Angeles office, I mentioned to Tom that the band had to be blown away by the response and press that the new album has gotten thus far.
I'm really surprised, actually. It's like we did a 12-day run. We did 2 in stores a day, and we averaged about 1,000 kids at every place. And then I think the very last one we did was at like 11 p.m. at night in El Toro, and we had like 2,000 kids there, I think. But I'm just surprised that what we did. The record coming out at number 8 is amazing. Considering the competition, it was not competition, but considering all the other records it was up against. I think that kind of says something.
I asked Tom to take our listeners back through time and detail the writing process for Divine Intervention.
We started doing that like in the earlier part of '93, actually. Because we usually take our time anyways whenever we start writing material. And this time around, it was a lot of it was Carrie. Carrie was working a lot of the material, and and this time we just took a little longer. I mean, even when we were done in the studio, after we'd done the final mix in the studio, we took some time off and we came back to listen to it and see what we thought, and we ended up remixing the entire record again. So we started back in '93. Took about a month and a half off in between that time. In that year, and then we started recording earlier this year. Actually, we had scheduled to do some concerts because we were hoping to have the record done before December, but we ended up scratching all of that. So we take our time in writing, putting the material together. I come in after a few months and start making demos, our own little demos, and I start putting lyrics to the songs. But that's usually how we get started, and I would say we spent about a better part of at least a year on all the material.
Tom mentioned to me that guitarist Kerry King wrote a majority of the music on Divine Intervention, and that he, along with the help of Kerry, wrote a majority of the lyrics. I asked Tom about the subject matter within the album.
The gist of the record is basically this time around I wrote songs. I wrote fantasy type songs. I consider them fantasy type songs because they're just fiction songs. They're not really based on anything. They're Sex, Murder, Art is it's about violent sex and killing the person in the end. Killing Fields is about the various reasons people commit murder. Mind Control is just an idea about someone having total control of someone's mind by merely thinking things, and he can just think the word death and the person will die, that kind of stuff. But it's the usual Slayer. It's got something about what we dislike about society, what we dislike about the American justice system. A fictional reality is about that. A Ditto Hit is about that also. And then there's Divine Intervention, which is basically about a movie called Fire in the Sky. You ever see that movie? It's about 4 loggers that were out cutting trees, and one guy got abducted and disappeared for like 5 days. It's just about extraterrestrial alien abduction, and the title, the album title itself, is not really based on that. It's more based on the idea of divine intervention. It's just how divine is it for someone to intervene in your life, and that could be anybody, It could be your parents, it could be the government, it could be society trying to get involved in your own, in your world, I guess. But it's usually it's the same subject kind of stuff. We have our fantasy stuff, but we also have a lot of stuff that we have on our minds that we need to sort of vent and release.
Tom says the addition of drummer Paul Bostaph has been a tremendous help, not only in the drumming department, but also as a songwriter.
Yeah, it was also a big added help because it gave Kerry a lot of more breathing room. It allowed him to breathe a little, because Paul was able, was on top of it and helping him out and and having some kind of say in how the songs went. So it gave Kerry it made life a little easier for Kerry because he didn't have to sit there and tell Paul what to play. Paul would just sort of come up with stuff and Kerry would like it, and it was as easy as that.
I also talked to Tom further about the 4-year layoff between studio albums. I asked whether he thought the time off recharged the band's batteries, enabling them to make a more aggressive album.
No, I think it gave us peace of mind. I needed some time to do nothing because we were busy on the Clash tour, and we had done quite a bit actually that whole time. And we actually didn't stop touring until the end of '91. So, it was the record came out in '90, but we weren't done doing stuff until the end of '91 to '92. And then even then we did the Donington Festival, which was later in that summer year, and that's when we went with all the problems with Dave and stuff. So, we spent a better part of '92 working with Paul so he could learn all the old material so we could do these shows. And then once we were done with that is when, like I said, we started the latter part of '92, got together and started working on the material. So, we really haven't taken any time off, although people seem to think we have. But I guess it kind of did recharge our batteries. But I think a lot of it had to do with Paul, new blood, and and it was just a whole new vibe. You know what I mean? It was still Slayer, but we just had we had new blood, and he was all excited and all into it, and kind of made us excited and get involved a lot more. So it's just, I think it had a lot to do with more new blood than anything.
Finally, Tom told me that fans will be able to see Slayer live in early '95.
January, February, March sometime we plan to do a U.S. tour.
Okay.
And then we go off to the Far East, and then we come back again sometime in the summer. We'll be doing some stuff here in the summer.
Great.
So we're gonna have a busy schedule, and I'm really looking forward to playing, man. Just one thing that I'm so excited about is just playing, just getting up there and screaming my ass off, making life worthwhile.
You bet. And everybody will have ample opportunity to see Slayer on the road.
Yep, they sure will, man.
This interview segment with Tom Araya was a lot of fun to do, and I have to thank the people at American for setting it up. Tom's actually a nice guy, and he has a sense of humor, too, as you'll hear after this track, Sex, Murder, Art, on the Leaving Skaars radio show.
This is Tom Araya Slayer. You're listening to Mark Skaar on Leaving Skaars radio show, KIOW FM 107.3, Forest City.
The Leaving Skaars radio show.